Today, we are diving into a story that is just absolutely extraordinary. It's the life account of Nancy Tremaine, and this journey, based on our own memories, it really pushes the limits of what we think we know about memory, trauma, and honestly, reality itself. Okay, let's get right into it.
So right off the bat, what makes Nancy's story so incredible is the timing. Think about it. We're talking about the summer of 1961. That's a full 2 months before the Betty and Barney Hill incident, which, as you know, basically wrote the book on UFO abduction stories. This potentially places Nancy's experience right at the very beginning of the entire modern abduction phenomenon.
And this quote from Nancy, wow, it just gets right to the core of her entire life. Can you imagine living for 5 decades with this deep trauma that you can't even remember? Her only clues were these weirdly physical things: panic attacks, this intense fear of doctors, and a recurring burning smell that was somehow tied to a memory that was just locked away.
So, let's travel back to where this all started. One single evening in Novi, Michigan that completely altered the course of her life.
Okay, so picture this. Nancy's just 12 years old. She's with her friend Cindy and some others, and they see this silent silver craft hanging in the sky. Then they watch as it shoots a beam of light at an oncoming car, freezing it in place. And right there, that's it. Her conscious memory just cuts out. The next thing she knows, she's back home, but that chunk of time in between, total blank. And what happened right after was almost as damaging. Her parents, trying to protect her, just told her to never, ever speak about it. But you can't just tell a kid to forget something like that. It doesn't work. All that confusion and fear, it had to go somewhere. And it turned into this unexplained rage. She went from being this popular kid to being angry all the time, and it got so bad, she was actually held back a year in school. This event wasn't something she just grew out of. It cast this long, long shadow over the next 50 years of her life, creating this really painful split between who she was on the outside and what she was battling on the inside.
And this is what's so fascinating. When you look at her life, it's a story of 2 completely different people. Publicly, she was thriving, a track star, a cheerleader, a wife, a mom, a totally normal, full life. But behind closed doors, she was fighting these invisible battles, crippling panic attacks, a phobia of doctors, and that constant, strange burning smell that was like a ghost of the memory she couldn't find.
So after 50 years of searching, Nancy finally found a therapist willing to try hypnotic regression. And let me tell you, that decision was the key that unlocked everything. During these sessions, some really startling things started to come out. She described undergoing what she specifically called a laparoscopy. Now, here's where it gets really weird. In 1961, that procedure was basically unheard of. It wouldn't become a common medical practice for another 20 years. So how in the world did she know that term? It was this little piece of information that just didn't fit the time period at all.
So what about the beings doing this? Were they hostile? Were they cruel? Well, under hypnosis, when she was asked if they had any malice, her answer was so clear and immediate: no, they are just doing their job. That paints a picture of something almost clinical. Terrifying for sure, but not intentionally evil.
The regression started filling in so many blanks. She remembered her friend Cindy was there, on the ship, but was kept in some kind of suspended animation. She remembered meeting the pilot, a being she refers to as Mr. And this is a really crucial point for her. She says she saw his true reptilian form, but only one time. And she understood that it was necessary, that she had to see it to know who and what he really was. Their connection, she says, wasn't about fear. It was on a level of energy and consciousness.
With those memories finally unlocked, Nancy's life took another wild turn. It's almost like acknowledging the past just opened the floodgates to a present that was filled with all sorts of paranormal events.
And maybe the most shocking development of all came when Nancy was 62. After what she calls a pineal manipulation, she became convinced she was pregnant for about 5 or 6 weeks with a hybrid child, a son she decided to name Drax.
And the high strangeness just kept coming. I mean, look at this list. An orange orb that would fill her bedroom with light before just zipping away. Bizarre horseshoe-shaped tracks appearing in the snow right outside her window. A shared experience of 23 minutes of missing time with a friend, even a phantom cat that multiple people saw and heard in her house.
So, of course, Nancy wanted some kind of proof for her original story. She went looking for the official police report from that night back in 1961. But when she went to check the public records, she hit a brick wall. It was just gone. But she didn't stop there.
Years later, she managed to track down the police chief from that time, a man named Lee Beagle. And in recorded phone calls, he didn't just remember it. He confirmed there was a military investigation that followed. He told Nancy they came to her house, to Cindy's house, to the neighbors, and, his words, they are just chilling. He said, they wanted to silence us so as not to create a panic. He also told her the investigators came in prepared to disbelieve because things like that don't happen.
So, with all of this on the table, how does Nancy make sense of it all? Let's take a look at how she sees these events and what she feels her purpose is now.
And this is something you hear from so many experiencers. It's this incredible paradox. The event itself was deeply traumatic, right? But looking back, she feels it was a catalyst. It forced her to grow in ways she never would have otherwise. And she says she would, without hesitation, do it all again.
Now, at 76 years old, Nancy feels a real sense of urgency. The time is going by fast. Her mission isn't to hide anymore, it's to share. She poured her entire journey into a memoir called Symbiosis. For her, this is about leaving her mark, telling her truth, and maybe, just maybe, helping other people who've had these inexplicable experiences feel a little less alone than she did for all those years.
And that really leaves us with this one big question, doesn't it? Nancy Tremaine's story is just filled with things that defy easy explanation. But when an experience is so deeply, fundamentally part of a person's life, when it shapes their fears, their growth, their entire identity, who are we to say what's real and what isn't?